I'm Damien Robert, and this is SEO in 2023 Additional Insights.
Damien, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2023?
Consolidate your domain, streamline your web presence, stop building new websites and new subdomains, and just relax and enjoy all the benefits from it. There are probably more benefits than you can think of, either for yourself, for your brand, or for your client.
Okay, I'll quickly go into a related question because you were talking about subdomains there. Blog on a subdomain. Good idea or bad idea?
Well, I would say bad idea in my tips. Consolidate it, like having a subdirectory instead, because you will benefit from the perceived domain authority of your main domain. So I would say, like, if you have to choose one way, always go for the subdirectory.
So that's a good way to, it's an easy choice to make when you're making it for the first time. But if you're faced as an SEO going into a business and the blog is on a subdomain already and it's got some authority to that, it's got some traffic that's being driven to that subdomain, is it still the right decision to make to actually move the subdomain to the folder?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, it is still a good decision, and it is actually not about migration, but consolidation of domains. So it could be even easier than you think to consolidate both. It can be completely seamless and transparent for the users. So if you consolidate the subdomain into the domain and you apply redirection the right way, it's a little bit of work, of course, but at the end of the day, you will have the direct benefits really quickly. I'm talking about 3 months time to have benefits.
So I've worked with brand teams, with digital PR teams in the past, and they've come up with different distinct campaigns, and they've often maybe bought an individual domain specifically for that campaign, and perhaps forwarded that domain to a subdomain. Sometimes you have CMSs that make it more challenging to have access to the core domain.
Yes.
Is it worth the hassle to build those sorts of campaigns on your core domain on a folder, or is it reasonable to run those campaigns on a separate domain or in a folder, and then once they're finished, 301 redirect them to maybe a folder on your main domain?
So in terms of building, it could be a good idea to use a subdomain, but before publishing, I would really not advise to publish a subdomain and after to have to consolidate it, because you do the double amount of work. So I wouldn't say so. I understand why people do that, and most of the time is the easiness of not going through the hassle, as you said, to ask permission on the main website, which could be really well controlled and have lots of governance, and to actually use an agency, for example, to create a new campaign. And I will always advise to create a subdomain or a new website because it's easier for them. But what's easier for people is not necessarily the most performant, and definitely not the most sustainable when you think of it. So I think you have to ask yourself all the questions before going for the easy way, and the easy solution, thinking it's going to be good enough, is sometimes not the path to take.
So as an SEO, if you're encountering another niche marketing department, if you want to call it that, who want to create a new subdomain for their individual campaign, how do you say no? How do you argue against that to hopefully persuade them not to do that?
Well, showing the results of domain consolidation, for example, or coming on the main domain, showing the benefits of that, first of all. So it's really like showing how it could benefit them to come to the main domain first, before talking about web governance or anything like that. That could completely deter people sometimes, especially when they want something strongly. They will always find lots of argument to go that way. To win against the arguments, you need to show the benefits. You need to show why sustainability is the main domain, why actually there are more benefits than I can think of going on the main domain, not only for the performance of the campaign or whatever they want to publish as content or as tools, but for lots of different reasons. And one of the reasons could be the readiness for generative AI, the buzzwords.
Okay, lots to unpack as part of that answer there as well. One of the words that you used was sustainability, and when you're talking about the benefits of not using subdomains. So what do you mean by sustainability in this context?
Well, I mean really about like the digital carbon footprint, so digital sustainability. If you work it's really rare nowadays to work in a company where there is not sustainability program in place or any ESG department or anything like that. So that could be the first reason, the first argument is actually streamlining websites means streamlining resources, streamlining cost, streamlining customer experience and customer journeys. So it goes completely to sustainability and to digital sustainability, let's say. So that's a great argument. That's more like a corporate one, let's say, if you're talking to a small team. But it talks to lots of people anyway, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, I love your argument of streamlining the UX, because I think we've all been on websites where you've clicked on just a standard menu link from the top nav, and then you've gone on to a completely different look and feel, and you're half wondering, is this the same business? Have I clicked onto another website here?
Yeah, it happened to me lots of times, and that's one of the benefits of doing consolidation is brand consistency, and it will really help your brand reputation. And as you say, and I love your description because that's my feeling all the time, and that's what I say when I present domain consolidation in conference, for example. I said everybody love the fact to know in which house they are, or tell me who doesn't like that. You like to know where you are when you are navigating a website, and nobody like complex brand architecture apart from maybe the brand team, who's trying to find other ways to design things. But I think we know we love to know where we are. So that's definitely another benefit. It's brand consistency, design, and really to make sure that the user knows where they are.
And another point that you mentioned that I can't let go by is you mentioned the importance of the readiness for generative AI. So how does domain consolidation help with that?
Well, it does through authority or perceived domain authority. I'm not going to have only frames there because I know that's a big subject of debate, domain authority, and that's what I prefer to talk about perceived domain authority in the generic understanding of it rather than the MOS metrics. But of course, increasing link equity on a website by consolidating all the websites will naturally increase the perceived domain authority. And generative AI, and especially large language models, they're using sources, aren't they? I think it's definitely Brittany Miller who said something like LLMs are not deterministics. They are just generating randomized outputs, and this is so true. This is so true. And that's what people forget all the time. And they're scared of AI, they're scared of generating AI, they think that ChatGPT is AI, and I think that everything is going to change. But yeah, maybe it will change. People are going to use, and we are all using large language models to be ready for them. Let's increase the authority of our content, our domain, because we want to be the source of selection from generative AI. And that's why I think that domain consolidation will increase the chances to be ready for the next search engine landscape, let's say.
It's a great point, because you need to be teaching AI that you are the authority in your particular industry and your subject matter. And maybe 10 years ago or so, when there was more of an argument or a debate about whether or not to use folders or subdomains, and a few people were saying, well, Google's more intelligent now, so as long as you've got a decent menu structure there with your subdomains in there and you're demonstrating to them that it's part of the same website, that it shouldn't be an issue at all. However, AI is potentially another crawler, another search engine for the future, and they might not be as progressive as Google in terms of understanding the differences between different subdomains in your core website. So make it easy for newer search engines, and in quote marks,
Yes.
to understand that your site as one all relates to one another in terms of categories, and you're making it more challenging by using folders, but by using subdomains. Sorry, that's something obviously you're nodding about and agreeing with.
Yeah, totally. It's one source. Be one source of information. And I agree with you. Google had a better understanding of this kind of architecture, maybe. But that's a good point that I would like to actually bounce back on. It's like when people decided, for example, to create all of these ccTLD domains, like meaning like your website.fr, your website.de for big global companies, and it's been done even for charities and everything. We thought, of course, that it was a great solution at the end. I have not only one proof, but many proofs that a consolidated domain, consolidated all the ccTLD domains, so all the country market sites, under unique.com will allow you to actually implement a good hreflang tagging. And a good hreflang tagging on one website is working better than several ccTLD domains in terms of geo-targeting of your audience and your organic traffic. This is really, I have the proof. I can show you I have the proof. I was even surprised myself that it was working so much better. And that we were getting actually so much more geo-targeting organic traffic on our unique website with a great hreflang tag matrix than in several market sites. So even for Google, I would say domain consolidation is the way forward. And of course for AI, generative AI too, because we don't know how they select the sources for now. But what we know is that they will select the sources that looks authoritative. And I asked them all, I asked ChatGPT-4, I asked Bard, and they all told me, yes, domain authority is a criteria of selection of my sources.
Interesting. So that means that if you're a business that operates in tens of different countries, and at the moment you've got a unique domain for each country, you've got the country's specific domain name, although you can set that up in hreflang, again, that's something that AI might not necessarily be considering, and therefore you're saying move to the .com version of your site and again use folders to differentiate your countries and languages.
Completely, yeah. Go back to that sometimes, because sometimes that's something for all companies that they used to do. And they switch to subdomains, and after they switch to ccTLD domains, and I would say go back to one domain. Go back to one domain. This is sustainable in many ways, for many reasons. And this is working well. I think it wouldn't really spoil generative AI because they're really good in switching languages. As a bilingual, I've tested that a lot, and I'm naturally testing that a lot with generative AI. When I ask a question, switch to French and English and French again. They're very good in actually collecting the correct language. We're not really that bothered about the territory or geo-targeting in generative AI for now, but that's a good question. That's a good question, surely. But I still think that hreflang tagging, well implemented and automated, why not? If you can use more intelligent CMS or plugins, is the way forward. This is working very well, and this is super easy for your crawl, for auditing the website. There are lots of advantages, extra advantages that I haven't talked about yet.
One of the advantages, though, with having a unique top-level domain for each country is that if you're a journalist talking about a website, talking about a business, you want to link to its homepage. You don't want to link to /fr/this/that in order to provide the content to your users? You might be talking about the website as a resource in a written publication. So surely a country-specific top-level domain is better for that.
So there is a little maybe an extra tip for that, is that you could automatically geo-target your homepage, at least, but just your homepage, to not actually risk any spider traps or anything that we've seen in the SEO words beforehand. But you can geo-target your homepage. So you could say the journalist, wherever the journalist is from, could say like, go to your website.com. And if you are in France, you will automatically go to your website.com/frfr.
Okay. For a moment, I thought you were saying there, actually have your homepage of your country-specific site as your country-specific domain. So the homepage of your website in France would be your brand name.fr, and then for any other page within that website, it would go to .com/fr. But you're not saying that.
No. It's just like the IP recognition.
So essentially 301 redirecting probably the country-specific top-level domain.
Completely. And if you come from the past, from the legacy of having different ccTLD domains, so your website.fr, your website.de, you will still keep them because, of course, you want to redirect the legacy domain to the .com. So you can still use it. You can still use your website.fr and it will automatically go to your website.com/frfr with a redirection and change of DNS, and depending on how you perform domain consolidation, because there is not only one methodology to do it.
So you shared what SEO should be doing in 2023. Now let's talk about what SEO shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEO shouldn't be doing in 2023?
I think these days, maybe spending too much time being scared of the future and therefore spending lots of time reading information about large language model or generative AI in general, and forgetting to actually invest your time in what can be sustainable, one can never change in time of uncertainty. Domain consolidation is an example, but you can do lots of things that you are actually 100% sure that it will work tomorrow, rather than just like getting frozen by the threats of change of landscape, the SEO is dead again, and you name it.
Damien Robert is SEO and Content Marketing Manager at Convatec, and you can find him over at convatec.com. Damien, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2023.
Thank you so much, David, for inviting me.
I've been your host, David Bain, and you've been listening to SEO in 2023 Additional Insights, a majestic series that complements the original SEO in 2023 podcast, video series, and book. Find out more over at SEOin2023.com.